Hello everybody. In this video I'm gonna attempt to try to describe some of these deceptive practices, and this all comes from an episode of How I Met Your Mother, episode 8 from season 5. And basically what's happening in this episode is Lily and Barney are having a fight. And Barney, if you've seen this series, he's kind of like a womanizer, and he kind of has all these like strategies and tricks and theories on how to basically sleep with women. And Lily is one of Barney's friends, and she's trying to get him to stop, kind of, in this episode. But I found it very interesting because she says, "You're going to need to stop doing all these things. So no more scams, no more cons, hustles, hoodwinks, gambits, stratagems, bamboozles." And then Barney says, "What about flimflams?" And she's like, "No flimflams either." And he's like, "Oh, okay." But I asked ChatGPT, like, can you give me specific examples on all these things? And I'm going to make an attempt to try to differentiate between them. ChatGPT gave me a definition and an example for each one, but I think they're very similar. For example, scams is defined as fraudulent schemes designed to deceive people and take their money or assets. An example is a phishing email that pretends to be from a bank asking for your login details. So we see this a lot with social hacking nowadays, where they'll ask you for your information, or in business transactions, right? When you're selling something in marketplace on Facebook or something like that, and then they'll say you need to provide your account information or your password and things like that, right? So they're scams. Genuinely, in this case, it's to deceive people and to take their money or assets. Now, a con is defined as confidence tricks, where the perpetrator gains the victim's trust to defraud them. So I'm guessing this differentiates itself from scams, because cons require you to gain people's trust. I guess scams do too, but in this case, con is making that is specifying that in the definition of con, right? Confidence tricks where the perpetrator gains the victim's trust to defraud them. An example, the classic Nigerian prince scam, where someone claims to need help transferring money and promises a reward. I saw this in a TED talk on social hacking, the art of human hacking or something like that, where someone will call you, like they'll pretend to be your friend, like on social media, and like they'll actually get pictures from your friend's account, and then they'll say, "I need money, it's urgent, something happened, and I'll pay you back tomorrow." And they'll scam you. The Nigerian prince, I think I've read about this, where they say, "I am a prince, I need money, like I am a prince in Nigeria or Zimbabwe or some place like that, and I need you to help me," right? And people will say, "Oh, like a prince, like how awesome, like of course I'll help you, I'll help out a prince," right? But yeah, I'm guessing that could also be considered a scam, but I see where the difference is. A con is more elaborate, right? I guess it has to do more with psychology, and a scam is, of course, psychological, but I would think of a scam more in terms of like a mugging, like they're just gonna take your money, right? They're not really gonna get elaborate, or I mean, they are gonna get elaborate, but not as much as a con. Okay, hustles. Hustle is defined as informal, often street level tricks or schemes to make money, typically involving some level of deception. So yeah, a hustle, it's like hustle and flow, hustle and grind. Example, the 3-card Monte, a street gambling game designed to trick players into betting on the wrong card. Yes, so a hustle, you could say, is something like it says here, more street level, right? It's a quick scheme to get money, like someone that will do tricks, like a magician, and they're really trying to rip people off and take their money. Excuse me. I guess you can also call that a scam too. I'm thinking all of these are like scams, and I asked ChatGPT, like, what do you call all of these? And ChatGPT gave me the title deceptive practices, because ultimately they're practices that are trying to hide, conceal information, right? And they're trying to rip you off. They're trying to lie to you. Hoodwinks, I had never heard of that word. Hoodwinks is defined as acts of deceiving or tricking someone. So an example is a magician using sleight of hand to convince the audience they have supernatural abilities. I'm guessing this one has more to do with, I mean, if you're talking about magicians, you're talking about the scene, setting the stage, maybe hiring paid actors and planting them in the audience. Um, so yeah, this has to do more with like an illusion, right? You're giving people the context and creating the illusion that you have like supernatural abilities, that you have mind reading powers or things like that. You can fly, things like that. Um, but I'm guessing this doesn't have to do anything with getting something like money. I guess this is just like entertainment or kind of like for the show. But I don't know how far you can take a hoodwink. Gambits. Gambits is defined as calculated moves or strategies used to gain an advantage. So that sounds very military like. Often used in chess, but applicable in other contexts. So an example is in business, offering a free service initially to attract customers who later pay for premium services. Okay, I understand gambits. So I think that businesses do this a lot, where like in a restaurant they'll tell you like, I don't know, free beer from 2 to 4 or whatever, and you go to the restaurant expecting free beer, but they say, oh yeah, that's only after you order food, right? Or you need to order at least a hamburger or something like that. So yes, their gambits, I guess, are a little bit manipulative in that sense. And they're trying to get, I don't know if precisely they're trying to get your money as much as maybe they're just trying to get in an advantage, like the definition says, to gain an advantage. So we can say so far there are some deceptive practices that ultimately want your money. Maybe there are other ones that just want to surprise you, to entertain you. And then there are ones like this one where they're trying to gain an advantage, right? Like it says here, the example is to attract customers, right? It's not so much, I mean, they're going to pay premium services, but the objective at this point of the process is to attract customers, right? With the business strategy. Okay, stratagems. Stratagems are carefully planned tactics or schemes often used in military contexts or competitive situations. So this one is the one that's with military ideals. So the example is in chess, sacrificing a piece to set up a winning position later. Oh, okay, so I see what this is. This is like pretending to look weak, but you really have a forte, right? Hidden, like an ace up your sleeve. So I'm thinking this is like playing. I can think of something like that type of child that comes up to you, maybe like crying in the street. They're lost, they're like, I need your help. And then when you least expect it, they rob you, right? They take your wallet and they run off with it, right? So I'm kind of thinking it's something like that. It's planned, it's a scheme, and it's used in military contexts or competitive situations. I don't really know how you would use this in military contexts or competitive situations. I was just watching Rings of Power last night, and I was on the episode. I think it's episode 6 from the first season, where they're having a battle, and they plan to basically, well, they do a couple things, right? That episode is pretty cool because the series is kind of slow. But what they end up doing is they end up sacrificing their tower, because these guys are like in a castle and they have a big tower and they know that the enemy is coming in. So what they do is they leave the castle, but they set it up so that the tower will fall on them as soon as they enter the castle, right? So the enemy enters the castle. They take down the tower, and the tower and the pieces of cement land on the people, killing the enemy, right? So I thought maybe that was a stratagem, because it even has that strategy word in it, right? Okay, a bamboozle. Bamboozle, there's a game online. You can look it up. Just type in bamboozle. And bamboozle, I heard about it too in an episode of Friends. They play bamboozle, which is a game that I think Joey makes up, or Chandler. And it's basically like all these crazy things can happen, right? Like sometimes there's two teams, and this team loses. They choose a number 1 to 16, number 3, and number 3 is you lose 30 points, right? Or it's just random things like that. Like, but it's a pretty fun game. It makes it very, very fun with groups. So the definition is to confuse, deceive, or perplex someone, which is to confuse. And an example is a street performer pretending to be a statue and then startling passerbys to distract them while an accomplice picks their pockets. So yeah, this is like, look over here while I do that, while I do something else with my other hand, right? So it's to confuse. It's a bamboozle, kind of like magician. And I guess this would be to get money too, or maybe just to, yeah, I mean, it has that end goal, right? And finally, a flimflam. The definition is deceptive or nonsensical talk or actions used to swindle someone. Nonsense, okay. A fast-talking salesperson selling fake miracle cures. So this reminds me of a stand-up that I just watched where the guy was evaluating the debate, the U.S. presidential debate, the first one, in 2024, and he was saying that, Trump is a fast speaker. So he says when people speak very fast, it's hard to convince yourself that they're lying because they're fast speakers, right? It's like that person that's doing the bidding, right? Like going 2,000, going once, going twice, going 3 times, sold to the gentleman in the right. And a fast talking person is very seductive, right, for people. So he was saying that Trump he tells lies fast, and Biden tells the truth very slowly and unintelligibly, right? Like you can't understand him, and it was funny. But this guy's a comedian, so it kind of reminds me of that, like a flim-flam, like confusing people, like look, but it's the same thing as like distracting people. Look over here, look over there, right? So just very quickly, more examples. A scam. A pyramid scheme where participants make money by recruiting others into the scheme rather than through legitimate business activities, okay? A con. A fake charity asking for donations after a natural disaster, keeping the money for themselves. Yeah. A hustle. Selling fake designer goods on the street as if they were genuine. Okay, so we're talking about pirating here, bootlegging. Hoodwink. A car dealership promising a special discount that doesn't exist to lure customers, okay? A gambit, offering a free trial of a subscription service to hook customers who forget to cancel and end up paying, yes, or making it impossible to cancel after the free trial, right? Or during the free trial, that's another gambit. Strategen, a lawyer using a delaying tactic in court to benefit their client, okay? So like you going through the loopholes of the system. Bamboozle, a street vendor using confusing pricing tactics to overcharge tourists. Okay, yeah, like it's so much, and then once you're there already, oh, it's actually more, right? More money. And a flimflam, a traveling salesman selling miracle cleaning products that don't work as advertised. Okay, so let me know what you think of these deceptive practices or manipulative practices. That's all I got for this video, and I'll see you in the next one. All right, peace.